Alright. Right. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream on YouTube, and welcome back to another live stream. And today we're still on about the COVID-19. So now we're on about the delay of lockdown. So, and first of all, I'm just gonna explain to you about the delay of lockdown, because if anybody else who gets the vaccines already, so yeah. For some reason, I'm gonna explain to you about the delay of lockdown restriction, so that they can ease in the lockdown restrictions. So yeah. First of all, on the 21st of June, there's something going on with the lockdown. So yeah, for some reason, I knew this is going to happen next week, so that we were just about in time to make things all ready. So it's going to change, or if it's not going to change, so that it can never cause any virus again. So during the pandemic, we're just going to explain all of these. I'm just going to explain everything for what's going on in the delay of lockdown restrictions. So, so on the delay of lockdown restrictions updates, for some reason, I knew this is going to happen when it's done. So basically, I think we were just about to think about when will the lockdown begin, or when will the lockdown will be eased. Yeah. If they decided to remove the lockdown restrictions, so that, whatever that is, so the delay of lockdown restrictions should be eased. I'm just going to give a few things about delay. I think we were just about in time, but for some reason, who you ever get that? You know what I mean? Okay. On the delayed of lockdown easing, so we're just going about in time to say what's going on in our place. So yeah, so who you never seen before, or who you never ever seen those people around here before. So, and it's quite difficult to know who you ever seen those people around here before, and who you've never seen them. And we knew this is going to happen when it's done. And if anyone gets that right, and we don't get to know each other, but we don't miss that. And so, by the way, if it's not going to happen, and then it's going to happen all night. So yeah, if anyone gets that right, and basically it's a few things that we all in it's a quite difficult to that particular other people around this place. So yeah, and especially if a delay of lockdown easing, and so on the BBC News that has already been updated. So yeah. So lockdown easing in England delayed 19th of July. So maybe in a different country. So okay, so on news it'll tells you about the Prime Minister announces 4 weeks delay to lockdown easing in England. So we're in England now, and basically, if roundabout things might gonna change, but the delay. So yeah, on the delay of the lockdown, so I think we should think about it while we still can. Yeah, but some of the point is we're all just gonna just keep ourselves in mind. Remember, because the delay of lockdown restrictions easing is, you know, we're about to not to getting freedom, or you know, any travels on the green list should be available, but apart from any other countries from South America, it's on the red list. So people cannot travel to any South American countries. So they can't go to any countries in South America. But it's quite boring because we do actually do that all the time. So we've just never been honest. But we're all just gonna stay safe and stay at home whatsoever. And first, it'll be quite difficult to everyone else during the lockdown restrictions. So basically, getting this time, who you ever get that? You don't get that, right? If anyone who never goes outside, every children goes to school, but during the pandemic, because if we never do this all the time, so that we're basically head on to this in the next one. If I'm ready for round one, so we're not basically get onto it before we can start um, just making a new comprehension. So that first of all, we're about to make everything. So um, so for my opinion, so we're just gonna to keep going on and on and again. It'll be just a different in our place, but in our lives. So we just have to think about what are we gonna do during the lockdown? Because if the pandemic is still active, so then the COVID-19 pandemic is still active. So we have to get ourselves vaccinated. So get vaccinated. So stay safe, get vaccinated, and stay at home. So yeah. Um, so yeah, 2 doses of vaccines. So 2 doses of vaccines. Because sometimes the virus kept spreading around the world. So I think about when every people around this country, it's horrible. But it's quite horrible, but you don't really seen too much, haven't you? So that we do not expect it to make the things right or no, cause but we're getting there. But we're not gonna do this all day, cause if we're not gonna do anything to that point where all these people are trying to get into the airport, so that we don't even care about what's going on with us. So we don't care anybody else. And by the way, if anyone who gets close to any people, but that's not going to happen. There will be any other people around this country again, but we won't. Because first, we'll make a difference. But today we ain't. But we will never come back. Because we never come back. Because we are never come back for these days. But this might be so different. And then, so by the way, I was just trying to think about when every people around this country, because sometimes they all died of a positive of a COVID-19, because it's very, very bad. But it's a bad situation. So, for instance, there is nothing we can do to stop the virus, but it don't necessarily helps, so we can't help it. If there's nothing, but there is nothing we can do to stop the COVID. There is nothing they can do to stop the COVID-19 so that we don't get freedom. Because if we don't get freedom, so that means we're going to stay in our country. So there is no way to go anywhere, can't go to any places or travel to any countries as they want. Unless it's locked down, but to be honest, it's just an act. Because we don't even do that as we want. Probably just being here for like any time. But if we don't, and then we can't to stop the COVID, because only the doctors can do that. Only some of them are not really related to that. So, by the way, if anyone who've never seen those kind of things before, I am just giving for some reason that any of the reasons why every people around this particular countries, so we don't really unnecessarily do that, because we're just being honest, so that we just don't have much time to think. So yeah, and but once it's happened, but we don't get it back. So we don't get it back, and it's not going to cause anything to happen. So then, yeah, that's not where I'm going to do this afterwards. So yeah. And so yeah, by the way, it's not going to happen, and it is what it is, so that we're not going to be necessary, because we don't really care what's going on. But we don't care what's going on in our country, so there is nothing we can do to help. Because there are no suggestions, so there isn't any options to stop COVID. But I was going to say that, but it's not good. And it's ridiculous, and I would say it's fairly enough, though, because I think if it's not going to happen, so then it'll be just worth in it, because around this point where every people around this place around here, So we just think about when, we don't even care about what things might never happen during a lockdown. What is going to happen to our country, but if there's no COVID-19 variant, if there's no COVID variant, so it'll be lost. It'll be more worst ever. There'll be new COVID variant because it'll be more worse than the other coronavirus. Because the COVID-19 contagion, it's continued to spread because around the world, around the worldwide, because sometimes we always aware, but we always beware of any people in sight because we don't want you to get touched by people, to keep you 2 meters distance, because we don't want anyone to get near them. Otherwise, they'll walk away and ignoring you. You know what I mean? Maybe some other people might get involved and not really happy to see them again. Because if we know about the delay of lockdown restrictions, so it'll be delayed on the 21st. Well, 19th of July. You know what I mean? So the lockdown will be easing on the 21st, but on the 21st of June and the 19th of July. So yeah, I would say, but if it's not going to happen and it's pretty awkward, but I would say that if I were you. But it's nothing, and I suppose. But I suppose this happened. It's a quite a few things to say that who you never been out with or anyone else, anyone else in this country. So we don't truly unnecessary. Because like if we do and they don't really care what's going on. Because we do not even care about what people might never seen those people around here before. And so yeah. And the first thing that anyone else who on about the embarrassing and all that, but I knew I felt embarrassing, but I knew this is gonna happen because sometimes in every lockdowns and is around the countries and around the world in a lockdown, but because sometimes we don't usually get it done, but I knew this is gonna happen. And then whoever gets that, so then could be anything. Because sometimes the COVID variants, it's always worst because last year, last year it was worst because 2020 was worst before that last year because it was worst, and this year it could be worst because sometimes the COVID-19 are worst. COVID-19 variants are worse than the COVID-19 contagion. So sometimes they are contagious because they're contagion viruses. So we don't even care what's going on in our world. But that's not it. Because of Corona, and we don't get to know it. We don't get to know people, and we don't want to meet new people because of lockdown or because of COVID. You don't want to get yourselves getting too suspicious from any of these people getting too suspicious or something, if you make yourself concealed, something like that, conceal yourself so that any people will not attract your attention as normal, so that you can normally take in everything what you want to, but that's okay to keep yourself at distance. And by the way, I'm just going to say the delay of lockdown, it can be worse, but we'll have to make this right. But not really. And yeah, and it's quite fun. Because it's more likely to have everything, so we don't unnecessarily getting right. Because when it's gonna happen, then it could be more worse. So for next year, but we're not really sure if the COVID or lockdown, or if the COVID-19 will be gone next year. It'll be absolutely more different, because next year it'll be more worst. It will be more worst. Next year, it'll be. So yeah, it will be more worst next year. So it will be more worst for next year. So next year to 2022. So yeah, because sometimes it's pretty bad actually, and it's something's gonna happen. Because sometimes we don't even get to change everything, because we don't even care what's going on. So I think it's the few things that it might gonna happen, and but something's weird, because COVID-19 is always weird. So we don't actually get him right. But we don't get that, because sometimes it's not going to happen. And first things first, it's quite a few difference between our selves, that but we don't even care about what's going on. But at this stage, it could be more different. So we'll have to stay at home, get vaccinated, and stay safe. Well, stay safe. Stay at home is more important. So it's more important to stay at home, because staying at home, it'll be more important. But likely if it's not, but because we don't get them right, especially. So that if we have to keep that himself in mind, so that we don't even care what's going on about COVID because of lockdown. You know what I mean? So yeah, guys, I'm gonna say thank you for so much for watching my live stream. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. So I hope you enjoyed this explanation. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment, and make sure to notification, and stay up to date, and stay safe, stay at home, and get vaccinated. Yeah, and save lives. So see ya. Goodbye.